Good evening. Welcome to the County Channel, and welcome to a new series that has been implemented and we're working on called Lowcountry Law On Air. I am Sheriff P.J. Tanner, Beaufort County Sheriff's Office, and beside me is Major Bob Bromage, the Public Information Officer for the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office. This is an opportunity for us to use another platform to reach the general public of Beaufort County. You know, we strive every day to make sure that our citizens of Beaufort County and our guests have every opportunity to learn and get information from law enforcement on public safety issues. And this series that we've created between the Sheriff's Office and the County Channel is going to give us an opportunity to have 30 minutes once a month on a Wednesday at 7 p.m. in the evening. And what we're striving to do is we're going to bring you first responder views on public safety. So we're going to have a variety of things that we're going to do on those Wednesdays. We're going to talk about cold cases. We're going to talk about crime trends. We're talking about traffic safety, crime prevention, emergency management. Everyone knows about hurricane evacuations and all the things that go on there. We're also going to talk about the coordination between the county and municipalities and what we do in Beaufort County to make Beaufort County a safer place, and how we coordinate everything that we do here with our state and federal agencies as well. So I think this is going to be a great opportunity outside of the social media view, which we're heavily involved in with Nextdoor, Nixle, Facebook, Twitter, and all those. Right now we've got a little over 100,000 people that follow us on those different platforms. But here's another platform that gives folks an opportunity in Beaufort County that don't have social media or a Facebook page or they're not into that technology, and they'd rather either pick up a newspaper and read something that's going on, or go to a channel on TV and watch it like they would watch the news. What's your thoughts on how we progress with this, Bob?
Well, following Hurricane Matthew, obviously we had a learning curve, a lesson in engaging social media. At the same time, you can't forget legacy media, which is television, print, and radio. So to use that as well will expand our public information reach, and it's finding the audience where they want to be reached. Some people don't have Facebook. Some people don't subscribe to our Nixle or our Nextdoor or Twitter. So this is a great opportunity to reach those people and explain our various programs and services at the Sheriff's Office and other government agencies throughout the county.
Now, as we progress down this road over the next couple of months, you know, because this is a new series we're trying to create, Bob is going to be hosting most of these shows, and hopefully at some point in time we can, if we find we need more time, then we can go to maybe another Wednesday in the month, maybe, or add time to one Wednesday in the month, and there may be opportunities down the road for us to do a live show where we actually have, kind of like the old Coastline show, we have a call-in opportunity and we field whatever questions may come in. But this is also an opportunity to put names and faces together. Right. You know, we look forward to having the opportunity to have Chris Chapman, the chief in Bluffton, to come aboard. He's brand new to the community. A lot of people don't know him. This would be a good opportunity to talk about what we're doing with Bluffton PD. Matt Clancy, of course, with Beaufort City. Chief Beach and Port Royal. Mm-hmm. So, you know, anything that we can bring to the people, is going to be important for our citizens. It's going to be an educational moment, an awareness moment, and those type things. But also at the same time, and I know that they're scrolling or will scroll an email address while this show is being aired. There's also an opportunity to send an email to us at lowcountrylaw@bcgov.net to let us know what you want to see, what you need to hear about, what you would like to see in future shows, and if there's a need for a phone call to me, my number is 843-255-3200, which is the main line at the Sheriff's Office, and Bob's number is 843-255-3402. You can send us an email, give us a call, let us know what is of interest that we could bring to these shows on Wednesdays. starting in January, or actually we're actually going to start this one I think a little bit sooner because we're dealing with some holiday safety and that kind of stuff. So what else we got, Bob?
Okay, well, we started that Lowcountry Law, a look inside the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office, where we have YouTube videos, again, explaining our various services and outside agencies that contribute to public safety within Beaufort County. One of the most important things that we talked about, Sheriff, was this to be a meaningful program. So, suggestions from the public on what's important to them in public safety, we certainly can address it here, just like we can on Nixle. Now, if they want immediate and accurate information from the Sheriff's Office, we of course encourage our residents and guests to subscribe to Nixle, nixle.com, our Nextdoor page, our Twitter, or our Facebook, and those are the immediate things we get out. But this is a great way to address these public safety issues in depth rather than just surface.
Well, like you said earlier, after Hurricane Matthew, we found the need because of actually a social media bomb going off, and we weren't prepared for all the different outlets, but we found a need to be in touch with our citizens as often and as much as possible to make sure that they're getting all the correct information. And that's kind of what this series is designed to do, not only using our social media platforms that we have, but we also recognize that not everyone uses these things. And we still have a large segment in our community that prefer to get the news either out of a newspaper or be able to watch the evening news, so to speak. So I think this is a great opportunity, and I think that we'll hear from our citizens and they'll let us know what they want us to bring to them.
Yes, sir. And our first guest tonight will be Sergeant Danny Allen. He's going to talk about holiday crime prevention, the do's and don'ts to keep you and your family safe and of course your property. Our second guest is Lance Corporal Matt Southern, who's going to come in and talk about holiday travel and traffic safety. So, and hopefully he'll be back again to talk about school bus safety laws and things like that.
Perfect. Look forward to it, and looking forward to this show being a success in Beaufort County. And the more successful the show is, the more information we can get out to the general public.
And we'll be right back with Sergeant Danny Allen to talk about holiday crime prevention.
911, where is your emergency? To repeat the address for verification. Is he breathing? You don't feel a pulse?
Most of the time when these people are calling in, they're having what might not be an emergency to you, but it is an emergency to them. And they need someone they can talk to who maybe not necessarily understands what they're going through, but is compassionate about what they're going through and empathetic and trying to keep them calm until help can get there for them.
You said his hand is cold?
An emergency service dispatcher really is the first responder.
The lifeline to connect you with emergency services.
They are the ones that get the initial information. They're the first person that a caller speaks to give them that emergent information they have. And the officers, we're the first ones to speak to them to get them rolling and get them en route.
EMS 1, respond to a cardiac arrest.
We take non-emergency calls and emergency calls, everything from I need a number for this place.
Lockout of vehicles, property damage, vandalism, armed robberies, shots fired.
Loose dogs up until death of a family member.
A lot of these people that are calling in are not having their best days.
You gotta wanna help people and wanna be that voice of reason.
This could be my family member on the line, and I want to provide the best service I can to my family, so I try to treat every person that calls into this center as if it was a family member of mine.
I can give you instructions on CPR, but you'd have to get him over on his back. Are you able to do that?
There are days where it's very overwhelming once you get in the door.
We're not acknowledged as first responders, but we are the first responder. To be able to give somebody the help in the time of need is the best thing. That's what we do. That's what we come to work to do. Come to work to help.
Hi, this is 911. We had to hang up from those numbers. Everything all right?
It's a very, very rewarding career.
It's never the same from one day to another.
Okay, what's going on? Someone's taking your mail?
You're always getting something new.
I grew up here, so to be able to give back to the community in a positive way, to me, is probably the best thing about working in this career field.
I am a
Beaufort County
911
Emergency Services Dispatcher.
We're back with Lowcountry Law On Air. Our first guest tonight is Sergeant Danny Allen. Danny Allen's been with the Sheriff's Office for 13 years. His current assignment is crime prevention. Danny, tell us a little bit about your duties.
Well, with crime prevention, I go all over our county, whether it's from Hilton Head, St. Helena, all the way up to Sheldon. We go all over the county, and we'll talk about multiple different law-related incidents or conversations, awareness-type information. We talk about fraud and scams. We'll talk to youth groups, and we'll also talk to churches and businesses or different organizations about other things like what we call CRAZE, which is an active shooter awareness presentation, which stands for Civilian Response to Active Shooter Events. So I get the opportunity to go around and talk to everyone in our county, and it's a great opportunity.
Sounds like you stay busy.
Yes, sir.
So tell us what kind of crimes we see more of during the holidays as we approach Christmas and New Year's, shopping. What kind of crimes do we see more of, and what can people do to harden the target to make it more difficult and prevent becoming victims of crime?
Well, some of the crimes that we do see are, of course, people are having things shipped to their homes. They're buying things online and having things shipped to their homes, but a lot of times they're not home. So they have these gifts that to a criminal driving through an area, it looks like a gold mine. So we have things being stolen from the home, stolen from porches. Some people actually are falling around UPS trucks and FedEx trucks, and when the truck leaves, they go and take gifts or items. If they're seeing a lot of things piled up on the porch, they may take those items because they believe no one's home at that point if there's still items sitting there. We also see some armed robberies, but one of the bigger crimes that we see are breaking into motor vehicles, but it's a trick there. They're really not breaking into motor vehicles. What I mean by that is they're going around and they're touching trying to find unlocked cars in apartment complexes, in shopping centers, and unfortunately they find a lot of them. And then they go and rummage through those cars and they're taking items out of those cars. If a way of hardening things is, one, please lock your car. Tell people even at home when it's in their driveway, lock their cars. Don't leave items in the car if they can. If they have to leave items in their car, putting it in the trunk or maybe hiding it in their car, especially if they're out shopping. Once they buy things, try to put it in the trunk or maybe hide it in the car so somebody walking past doesn't see it just sitting out there and it catches their attention and then they go into the car. With home, if you do order gifts or you're buying things online, try to schedule it where it may be delivered during the time frame that you may be home. If you have family members around you or friends or neighbors that can stop by the house and move those items, sometimes you can actually ask the UPS or FedEx to deliver it during certain time frames as well to assure that you're home.
Well, that makes good sense. Now, when people are traveling away from home on the holidays, what advice would you give them to maybe make it look like their house is occupied?
Yes, sir.
So not to provide a target for an opportunistic criminal.
Yes, sir. Well, one thing I would like to ask people is not to broadcast that they're going out of town. That's probably the number one thing they can do is not broadcast, whether it be on social media or other things, and letting people know that they're gone. Even while they're gone, not broadcasting that they're out of town because then people know, oh, well, no one's at that home. If you have neighbors around you or family members that may even have keys to your home, asking them to come by the house at different times, maybe not only checking it, if they have a key and they can move a car to make it look like someone's home, cutting different lights on, if you have Christmas lights or other things, cutting them on and also cutting them off. So it doesn't seem like, okay, obviously no one's there because those same lights were on and nothing has changed. So doing little things like that. If they have a surveillance system, monitoring that. A lot of surveillance systems, you can watch it on your phone, but if you're not looking at it, it really is not doing you any good. And also, we at the Sheriff's Office and other law enforcement agencies also offer extra patrol. service, meaning you can call into the sheriff's office and you can ask for your home, or you can call dispatch and ask for your home to be placed on extra patrol. We usually do it for about 2 weeks, but you can give the time frame that you'll be out of town. You can tell us what vehicles will be at home, if there's any key holders that may be able to respond, especially if you're out of town. And then that means even though we're already doing extra patrols, we'll have officers who will specifically look at your house because they know no one's home. And if they see activity, that's a red flag to them.
Excellent advice. So what other things should people be looking for around the holidays? These scams that people get, telephone calls, they get emails. What's your advice to people that are getting these, they're contacted by these scammers?
Yes, sir. Well, one, you should know the certain folks that are calling you anyway, where if it's family members or friends. But you also should know what bills you have. If you were ever pulled over, you should know that. That shouldn't be a surprise to you. All of a sudden, you have a warrant out there,
right,
or someone trying to pressure you for money. But also, too, with the particular scams, because we have people buying items in different ways, where if it's online, where if they're looking to meet up with somebody that they've bought something from. So being very cautious about the different scams and things that may pop up. If things are popping up in your emails, if you're looking on social media and there's a pop-up ad or something else, be very cautious about using those and following those, because there's a ton of scams out there. Unfortunately, this is a time that they know people are spending a lot of money, and so they are plenty of people who are trying to just have a free way of getting money out of you. So just be very cautious of it. If it's not a secure location that you're used to dealing with, don't use it. If it's a pop-up, and even if it seems like a secure location or secure business, go out and look up their website yourself.
Right.
Don't just use the pop-up that came up, because that could take you to an unsecure website that is a fake website. And also, if you have people calling you and trying to get money out of you, don't give it. Hang up. And if you did give money, please report it, because unfortunately, a lot of people are scammed and they never report it. So at that point, just let us know.
And what should people do if they see suspicious activity? We always say, if you see something, say something.
Yes,
Call
sir.
911, report suspicious activity immediately to 911, give us an opportunity to look into it.
Yes, sir.
Even if it's nothing,
Yes, sir.
we're still there and we're able to vet that and make sure that it's not criminal activity.
Well, definitely call 911, but at the same point in time, some people don't understand. We also have a non-emergency number,
Right.
which is 843-524-2777, and that's the non-emergency number to our dispatch center. Calls the same dispatch center as 911, but it just doesn't tie up the 911 lines, because it may not be something that you feel is an emergency, but you want somebody to know about it and can respond to it.
Well, Danny, we appreciate all the good advice, and I'm sure our viewers appreciate it. We'll be back with Lowcountry Law On Air with Lance Corporal Matt Southern from the South Carolina Highway Patrol.
Thank you.
Disaster planning consists of 3 simple steps. Make a plan, build a kit, stay informed. Every family should have a plan for how they will communicate during an emergency and where they will meet if separated. Having basic emergency supplies on hand will keep you alive during a disaster. Monitor local radio stations for important information and updates. Visit bcso.net for more information.
Welcome back to Lowcountry Law On Air. Our next guest is Lance Corporal Matt Southern from the South Carolina Highway Patrol. Matt's been in law enforcement for 19 years. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Matt.
So I began as a sheriff's deputy in Richland County. No, I've never been on live PD, but many of my friends at that agency have been. And joined the Highway Patrol in 2010 and moved into the role that I'm in now in 2016. I'm a community relations officer covering all 6 counties here in the Lowcountry. Travel to schools, businesses, selling the message of the Highway Patrol about being safe, and also serve as the spokesperson for the patrol.
Very nice. So Matt, we want to talk about several different things. The Sober Slammer campaign.
So the Sober Slammer campaign just kicked off on the 13th of December. It runs all the way through New Year's. It's an annual campaign where we use an educational component to talk to folks about making smart choices while they're traveling to holiday festivities. If they're going to a party, we want them to plan ahead of time so they know how they're going to get home safe, so they don't get behind the wheel after consuming alcohol. You know, in South Carolina, nearly 300 people die every year because of impaired driving, and we want to prevent that from happening. And now more than ever, there's options for you. A sober designated driver, a ride-sharing service like Uber or Lyft, a taxi cab, or even staying put. If you're going to someone's house for a holiday event, you know, hey, crash at their house so you're not getting behind the wheel.
Smart, smart. So what are some of the penalties around being arrested for DUI?
So for a first offense DUI, the amount of money that you're going to spend is probably about $10,000 because you're going to spend a night in jail. Your vehicle's going to get towed. You may have to hire an attorney. There's fees, there's fines, classes that you have to take. So all that adds up to about $10,000. Now where it gets really into hitting you is if you were to kill somebody or hurt somebody severely out on our roadways, you're facing time in prison. And unfortunately, we see that. We've seen it here in Beaufort County where someone gets behind the wheel after consuming alcohol, they get into a crash and they severely hurt someone or kill somebody, and then now they're facing time behind bars, in prison bars, for up to almost 25 years.
So the main point is it's completely preventable.
It is, and now more than ever, there's so many options that many years ago weren't there. So before you plan to get out and enjoy yourself, make sure you have that plan in place before you start consuming that alcohol.
That's great advice. Thanks, Matt. So let's talk about holiday travel and the infamous I-95 corridor we hear all the horror stories about during holiday travel. Is there a good time to travel?
Well,
what's the best idea?
Well, there's going to be an increase in traffic. We see it because folks are packing up. They're going to visit family. And I-95 is a major north-south corridor that people are going to travel. And it goes, right through the Lowcountry here of South Carolina. Give yourself ample time if you're going to travel. Give yourself extra time. You never know, a crash may happen out there, and you may have to get detoured off of the interstate. We've had to do that in the past. Make sure you know some alternate routes. Get you a map out. GPS is great, but get you a paper map so that you can actually look and see what your route's going to be. If you see somebody that's out there on the interstate that's driving dangerously, we want to know about it. Star HP, star 47 is a phone number that you can dial straight into the Highway Patrol. Give us a description of the vehicle. Let us know what they're doing, where they are, a mile marker. And that doesn't work just on the interstate. That's anywhere in Beaufort County. If you see something that's happening, let us know about it.
So, in general, holiday travel, do you have any recommendations? Should people travel at night rather than during the day? I mean, is there anything to break it down further?
Personally, when I travel, I like to travel at night because there's not as much traffic out there. But one of the risks that you take when you're traveling at nighttime is fatigue. So you want to make sure that you have ample rest before you get behind the wheel. A lot of the crashes that we see occur because people fall asleep behind the wheel and they run off the road. Next thing you know, they're hitting a tree or something like that. So we want to make sure you have ample rest. Take rest breaks as you're traveling. Those rest areas are up and down the interstate. Pull off in there. If you need to take a nap for a short, 10, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, at least you're getting a little bit of rest. Limit distractions behind the wheel, like texting and driving. That's against the law in South Carolina. But other distractions can occur in the car too. Kids in the car talking. I have one myself. He can be a distraction sometimes. Eating in the car, changing the radio, all of those things are distractions. We want to limit those as much as possible. And most importantly, drive the speed limit. Make sure you're driving the speed limit. The faster you go, the more chances of you getting hurt if you were to get into a crash.
Right. So when we're talking about traffic safety checkpoints, we get a lot of questions here, on a county level from our residents and guests about, are there going to be roadblocks out tonight? Now, can you elaborate on that and what they are?
So we do public safety checkpoints, and sometimes they're announced, sometimes they're not announced. And we get a lot of questions, well, why are you announcing public safety checkpoints? Well, we have to. And really and truly, a public safety checkpoint is real simple. It's only going to take you 2 or 3 minutes. if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
But if you're, violating a law, then it's probably going to take a little longer. If you pull up there and your tag's expired, well, there's probably a chance you're going to get a citation for that. Or if you pull up there and you got open beers in the car, or you're driving impaired, then a trooper or another law enforcement officer is probably going to take some enforcement action, and may take a few more minutes to get you through that checkpoint. If you even get through there, there's a chance that if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, you could be leaving that checkpoint in handcuffs and getting your vehicle towed as well.
Right. Is there anything else you'd like to tell our viewers about around the holidays and traveling in general?
So the Sober Slammer campaign that we have going on right now, there's two parts to it. There's an educational component of it where we're using social media. The community relations officers all across the state are sharing tips on our social media. We're using our Facebook page for the South Carolina Department of Public Safety to get that message out there. And then there's an enforcement component of it too. So our troopers, along with our local law enforcement partners, are working from the 13th of December when it began all the way through New Year's Day to take impaired drivers off of our roadways. Like I said earlier, 300 people are killed on South Carolina roadways because of impaired drivers. Last year was over 1,000 people total that were killed on our roadways. So our goal, and anyone in law enforcement's goal, I'm sure it's the same with the sheriff's office, is to reduce traffic fatalities, reduce traffic crashes, reduce injuries on our roadways. And we can't do it all by ourselves. We need the public to work with us as well on that.
And Matt, what about preparing your vehicle before travel?
So if you're going to get out there and travel, first thing you do, make sure your vehicle's in good working order. Check your tire pressure. We have had days where it's 70 degrees, and then other days it's dropping low into the 30s.
Right.
So tire pressure can change. Make sure your tire pressure is good in your vehicle before you hit the road. Check your wiper blades. Make sure they're working well. Make sure all the fluids are in are ready to go in your vehicle. Right. And make sure that your vehicle, all the lights are working on it. Actually, get someone to walk out there with you. Push the brake pedal. Make sure your brake lights are working. You'd be surprised how many vehicles you see riding up and down the road where the brake lights aren't working. Make sure your headlights are working, because you want all of those things to help you stay safe in the roadway. A safe operating vehicle will keep you safe as well. The number one thing, make sure you're buckled up too. Nearly half of the people that died on South Carolina's roadways last year who had access to a seatbelt were not wearing a seatbelt. 349 out of 700 roughly people were not wearing a seatbelt. Put that seatbelt on. It's an insurance policy to keep you safe.
Also, it keeps you from moving around the car.
That's
right.
it. That's it.
All right. Well, Matt, happy holidays. Thank you for coming. We appreciate you sharing all that great advice with our viewers. Matt Southern will come back to the show next few months and talk about the school bus safety law and what it means to you. Sheriff P.J. Tanner and the men and women of the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office would like to wish you and your families a joyous holiday season, and most importantly, a safe holiday season. We look forward to seeing you next time on Lowcountry Law On Air.